Agent Charlie again. Today, I am going to go through how to be an effective communicator. This is essential in a service-based ships agency. Do you want your email to look as good as this? You can download the poster from our SharePoint site. Sometimes you might be wondering if you're handling the emails correctly. Always remember AIR when you receive an email. A. Acknowledge. I. Inform. R. Remind. 1. Acknowledge. Always read and reply to the emails you have received. 2. Inform. CC relevant people. 3. Remind. Flag critical emails to remind yourself to reply and mark emails as unread if you intend to reply later. This is important as delayed responses can lead to frustration and we may lose customers as a result. So remember to AIR. Replying is important, but remember to utilize Teams. Some of the functions include alerting everyone of important news by mentioning the name of the group, creating a hyperlink within the body of your message to create short and neat links, creating the title for a conversation thread and marking the message as important. Firstly, make sure that all the relevant updates and information have been uploaded to Teams. Create well-defined instructions. Avoid abbreviations and shorthand, and make it clear which one of your team members is responsible for the task. Lastly, activate an out-of-office automatic email reply. It should include the dates that you are away for and an alternative contact while you are away. To recap, there are 4 scenarios that you should be mindful of. 1. Crafting of emails. Don't you wish your email was as good as this? 2. Handling and responding to emails. Acknowledge, inform, and remind. 3. Receiving information from emails. Use Teams to update the team. 4. Going on vacation. Vacation handover and out-of-office automatic email reply. Thanks for watching our video. Be sure to start on these best practices and empower yourself with the right communication etiquette.
Just a word. To get cargo delivered, it is a critical process which requires care and accuracy for a successful delivery of cargo. And that involves you making sure that all shipping documents are in place. Let's talk about 3 cargo documents you must know about throughout the full agency appointment: the mate's receipt, the bill of lading, and the letter of indemnity. What happens once cargo is loaded? It's at that point that the mate's receipt is signed by the chief mate. A mate's receipt is an interim stage document, issued and signed by the vessel to reflect the condition and quantity of the cargo on board. After the mate's receipt is issued, it is our job as agents to issue the bill of lading based on the mate's receipt. All bills must be checked by 2 people without exception. The bill of lading is the most important document there is, as the holder of the bill is technically the owner of the cargo. It is a receipt of cargo, document of title, and an evidence of contract of carriage, all rolled into one, involving details of the shipper, carrier, consignee, and notify party. The bill regulates the carrier's responsibility for precise description of the goods, to release the good to the right party and at the right place, to watch over the cargo whilst it is in their custody. It lists down all the essential details that are required to create a valid bill. Finally, what happens when the cargo reaches its destination? In order to claim the cargo, the original bill of lading must be presented by the agent. Prior to the bill of lading being released, we must have written authorization from our principal. There is no exception to this rule. In the event that the bill of lading is not present prior to discharge, a letter of indemnity, LOI, can be used. The LOI contains the details of the receiver of the goods and the bank's countersignature. It indemnifies the carrier against any losses or consequences should the goods be delivered without production of the bill. Due to its importance, a lot of attention and care is needed while issuing the bill of lading. If bills are released without written authorization from our principal, we can have a claim for the total value of the cargo against us. If issued wrongly with inaccurate details, the cargo can fall into the wrong hands. And if the bill of lading is backdated to reflect an inaccurate loading date, this amounts to fraud. So you need to be extremely careful when handling a bill of lading. If in doubt, always remember to check with your manager. Mate's receipt, bill of lading, and letter of indemnity are part of a complex cargo handling process, and this is only some of the details required to handle these documents. Please refer to the global and your local guidelines for cargo documents. When it comes to cargo operations, there are 3 documents that we shipping agents need to be extremely mindful of. They are the mate's receipt, bill of lading, and the letter of indemnity. The bill of lading is one of the most critical documents, since it is a document of title for the cargo loaded. Holding the bill of lading may be as good as holding millions of dollars in your hand. This is why you, as a Wilhelmsen ships agent, need to be extremely careful when issuing, handling, and delivering the bill of lading. The bill of lading is originally prepared as per the shipping instructions, bill of lading instructions, the mate's receipt, and with the approval of the concerned parties. Issuing and releasing this bill comes with its own set of instructions. This video will bring you through the 6 important points you must remember. We never do anything with the bill of lading unless we have written authorization. This includes both issuing and releasing the bill. The original bill of lading can only be issued when the ship owner or your principal has confirmed the draft bill of lading, and when the cargo has been loaded onto the vessel. Always ensure that the details on the bill of lading are correct. While handling, we must be extremely careful when entering the details. Incorrect dates can lead to fraud and delays. Shipping agents must strictly adhere to the details within the bill of lading instructions. Nothing can be overlooked. Written authorization must be received before signing and release. We can only sign on behalf of the master. For us to do that, you must first get written authorization from the master. The signature for the bills of lading must be signed in the designated signature box. Ensure that there are always 2 sets of eyes. All bills must be checked by 2 people without exception. Check the entire document to ensure that the bill reflects the bill of lading instructions. Some of the more critical points to check are shipper's details, consignee's details, master's name, vessel's name, date, cargo quantity on the front side of the bill, and the terms and conditions stated on page 1. Fraudulent bills of lading have been presented within the industry. Therefore, it is extremely important to ensure that the bill of lading you are handling is the original. Keep the bill of lading secured at all times, and ensure you maintain a record of proof showing the name and date for the receipt of the bill of lading released. We should never leave the bill of lading unattended. Only after given approval to release the bill of lading are you able to sign and dispatch it to the relevant parties. To recap, the 6 important points that you must remember for the bill of lading are: 1. Authorization. Never act unless you have written instruction. 2. Content. Make sure it's correct. 3. Signatures. Written authorization must be received before signing. 4. 2 sets of eyes, without exception. 5. Compliance. Ensure it's the original. 6. Control. Keep the bill of lading safe at all times.
Ben, are you ready for your first business process training? In this video, I'll be taking you through the business processes so that you'll be familiar with the standard ships agency business process. This refresher course will also help to prepare you for the Atensi training. So, what should you do when you receive an inquiry? The first step is to register and acknowledge the inquiry. Next, you have to assess the customer requirements. After that, assess the type of inquiry. You'll need to build the estimate after assessing. Then send an inquiry response. Lastly, you'll need to follow up and confirm. Once you register the inquiry with all the necessary details, an acknowledgement will be sent to the customers either by the system or by you. It's important to maintain close communication with customers to obtain all the information if required. This will help in ensuring accuracy of cost estimation provided to the customer. Communication is key to obtaining and providing accurate information. Always remember to follow up with the customer for cost estimate inquiries and to close the inquiry in the system if we're not appointed. To your second business process training. This time we'll be going through processing appointments. Are you ready to go through our 4-step process? The main steps are as follows. 1. Register the appointment. 2. Assess service availability, OFAC, and credit status. 3. Send appointment acceptance or rejection. 4. Create port call and PDA. When an appointment is received, it first needs to be registered. First, register the port call and provide all mandatory information. Second, change the inquiry status to appointed if we won the inquiry, and fill in all the mandatory fields according to the system requirements. Once the appointment's assigned, remember to review the scope of the appointment along with our local service capabilities. When assessing the service requirements, look out for the following. 1. Job requirements. 2. OFAC requirements. 3. Credit exposure. 4. Service availability. And 5. Technical and legal requirements. If the customer does not fulfill the requirements, escalate for management approval. After assessing the service requirements, send the appointment acceptance to the customer if the service requirements are authorized. However, if the service requirements are not authorized, we'll need to inform the customer and discuss an alternative. Once the appointment is accepted, the port call and PDA header will be automatically generated by the system. Always remember to escalate for internal approval if necessary. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out our next video on pre-funding and RDA process. Process training. We'll be going through pre-funding and the RDA process today. Now, let's go through our 5-step process today. Step number 1. Accept appointment. Step number 2. Review the type of customer and send pre-funding request with details. If it's a contractual or SASA customer, then you'll need to follow the contractual terms. Step number 3. Request for internal approval, chart of authority, if pre-funding is not received prior to ETA. Step number 4. Update service lines and request for additional funding if additional services are provided when the vessel is in port. Create the RDA or escalate for approval using the chart of authority if needed. Step number 5. Vessel departs and submit RDA. After accepting the appointment, the DA header will be created by the system and the PDA status will be changed to PDA draft. After the appointment is assigned, you should create the PDA and send the funding request to the customer. Always remember to copy the local finance or cash collector in that email. All contractual terms and funding agreements, such as pre-funding exception, must be followed for contractual customers. Local finance or cash collector should monitor the funding status and update it in IFS. If the pre-funding is received, update the funding details in IFS. Operational activities will be disabled in the system until funding is received, and the PDA status will only be changed to PDA approved after. In the event that pre-funding is not received prior to the vessel's estimated time of arrival, review the pre-funding and escalate the issue for internal approval. Follow the chart of authority for this. You must indicate the reason for cancellation by using the cause codes. If pre-funding is received, you may proceed with operational activities. Remember to update service lines and request for additional funds if applicable. Refer to the terms and conditions for SASA Hub local customers. Once the status for additional funding is changed, you're authorized to proceed with departure procedures. Remember to send the RDA within the KPI deadline. The system will change the RDA status to RDA submitted after you send it to the customer and will only change to RDA completed after the vessel has sailed and internal posting is completed. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out our next video on port operations. Process training. Today we'll be touching on port operations. During port operations, always remember to 1. Plan port activities and send the follow-up email to the customer. 2. Collect documents, records, and create to-do tasks to track all requirements. 3. Coordinate with relevant parties, do pre-arrival planning and reporting. 4. Capture arrival events, conditions, and send arrival reports. 5. Track services and report on progress. And 6. Capture departure events, activities, and send a departure report. Select the port activities and update the port call. Before sending it to the customer, be sure to select the appropriate questions and amend the follow-up email accordingly. Customize it with port-specific details. Once done, send the follow-up email to the customer. You can create a to-do task list to keep track of all requirements. This will allow you to stay on top of things. Remember to classify the document and create the to-do task list. The system keeps track of all documents and uses document classification. All services, cargo operations, and arrival activities must be well planned, and the pre-arrival or berthing report must be sent to the customer. One of the KPIs for this step is the arrival, cargo and service planning, and pre-arrival report. All this information can be found in the ship's agency SOPs. The documents you'll need to send are the vessel's pre-arrival report and the Global Safety and Compliance pre-arrival notice. Capture all arrival activities and complete the arrival clearance. A detailed copy of the arrival report must be sent to the customer. The KPI for this step is whether the port-specific arrival report meets the requirements outlined in our SOP. Consistently monitor cargo and any other activities while capturing the relevant information and reporting on daily operations activities. The daily progress report you produce is the KPI for this step. At departure, remember to obtain and capture the departure clearance, activities, and conditions. Keep the customer updated by sending the departure report or statement of facts. The KPI for this step is whether the departure report meets the requirements as outlined in your SOPs. Both the SOF and the departure report are critical documents and must be sent to our customer. Thank you for watching. Be sure to catch our last video on FDA. Last business process training. Let's end off with a bang and talk about the FDA process. Step number 1. Check internal invoices, send the departure report, and change the status. Step number 2. Collect supplier invoices and send them to the DA Center through the operating system. Step number 3. Map supplier invoices. Step number 4. Finalize the DA and send to customer and GA. Step number 5. Reopen or create supplementary DA if permitted and required. Step number 6. Close the DA. Complete the RDA process and update the DA with all details within 72 hours after departure from port. All invoices must be marked by you, as the system will automatically post internal invoices in IFS once the RDA is completed. The system message will also change the DA status automatically to FDA draft. You must collect invoices, scan them, and send it through the operating system. The system will automatically tag the file with your details, DA Center, and the country. DA Center reviews all invoices and posts them against the DA in IFS. The system will alert the local user if the DA Center returns any invoices for further clarification. DA Center should map the IFS posting against the service lines in the DA. If not, they'll request you to review the DA. DA Center will trigger finalization of DA and must involve you or finance to solve any unmatched transaction if finalization fails or an error message appears. The system has a tolerance limit against variance for the DA, and status will only change to finalized when the DA is successfully finalized. If needed, you can trigger reopening or supplementary DA processes. However, business control and approval processes must be followed. The system will trigger reversal of DA if the reopen function is used, but will alert you if reversal is unsuccessful. The system will automatically close the DA when DA balance reaches 0. You can proceed with the necessary credit processes if credit-debit balance is observed. You've now gone through the entire business process training. If you need any help, be sure to reach out to anyone in the Global Ops and QHSSE team.